All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. We're going to ask you. We have still some folks arriving, so we're trying to give them time to get in the room as well. But we also need to get our program started. Want to make a couple announcements as we get started. First one is that we have translation services available for folks who need it. I'm going to ask our translators to let you know about that.
All right, we have interpretation services in Spanish, Swahili, and Vietnamese. So anyone who needs interpretation, please come to the back table in any of those three languages. Tenemos interpretación en español, Swahili y vietnamita. Si alguien necesita interpretación, por favor, de ir a la mesa de la esquina para obtener un aparato.
Ở đây có dịch viên cho tiếng Việt, cho nên nếu mà ai cần thì sẽ qua bàn bên đó, sẽ có cái máy cầm lên để nghe dịch.
Yes. Kama waongea Kiswahili tuko na utafsiri kwa Kiswahili. Kwa hivyo ukitaka utafsiri uje kwenye meza pale nyuma.
I am going to ask Commissioner Barbour if she would come to the front of the room, do a bit of a welcome for us, and then we're going to dive into our program.
Okay, hello, yay. What a beautiful room. Thank you so much, everyone, for showing up tonight on this evening. I'm glad we could have some food, so hopefully it meant you didn't have to worry about where you're going to eat this evening or that you're going to be hangry during this meeting. I want to take some time to definitely welcome, we have Representative Pamela Herndon here. Thank you, Representative, for showing up. We have City Councilor Luis Sanchez. Am I missing any other elected officials or? Okay, great. Well, and thank you to all who showed up. We have some folks from different places that I'm sure you'll hear from tonight. This is, right now, this Highland Historic Site is here in District 3, which is Bernalillo County District 3. It's also, maybe you might know it as City Council District 6. This building is an example of what community, public, private partnerships can look like to benefit our communities, right? I grew up, I am so honored that I get to represent the community I grew up in and I raised my kids in. I actually live in the home and got to raise my kids in the home I grew up in, and it's not far from here. How many people remember the old Highland Theater? Do I have any oldies in the house like me? Yes. And I remember as a kid driving up here, this was the heart of the city at one point, and there would be lines. Anytime, back in the day when new movies come out, everybody would line up around the building. And I remember being a little kid driving around and seeing just so many different types of people with mohawks, and some people with leather jackets, or grandmas and grandpas, and just thinking, I remember feeling so like it was just this cool place to be. And it is. You can see how beautiful it is, and I'm so grateful for the work of previous commissioners that did to save this building and not let it just be another dilapidated space. It's not only did they save it, they're actually bringing funding in, they're bringing a true resource to our community. They bring folks in from the whole entire city into this area where they also hopefully buy some dinner, or do some other things. And they were providing a true way for our kids to be involved in healthy activities that hopefully lead to having positive relationships, positive self-image, all those things, youth positive development. And I just want to say about this district, I want to know, folks, how many of y'all live near here? And maybe let's ask for southeast along the central corridor. Raise your hands high, be proud. Yes, thank you. So I'm really proud to have that, and we need representation from our district at all these meetings. Thank you all for folks that showed up tonight. It's so important. This area of town is the most densely populated in the whole entire state. So in the whole entire state, this area already has the most people living in it. We have the most apartments, we have the most multi-generations of people living in one home, and we have the closest in proximity. So tonight, when y'all are thinking about economic development, what does it mean when we're probably the most densely populated? What does it mean to lift that way up in a way that's different from the South Valley or the North Valley, right? What does it look like specific to the needs of our community? And affordable housing obviously is needed. We're one of folks that live here. We are everything south of Central. We learned in COVID, right? Those are our essential workers, our folks that are going to the jobs that are essential, that they couldn't leave and they had to work. They didn't get breaks during the COVID time largely in our communities, right? So I'm really happy to be here and think about that. Last I want to say as a county commissioner, part of the reason and from the support, I see Samia in the house, some of the different community members have been so hugely a part to say, hey, we want development, we want positive things, beautiful things for our communities, and how do we make sure that those big developments, if they're getting tax breaks or they're getting ways that we're making life a little easier for them to come in, how do they also give back to our communities and make sure that our communities are thriving, or that we're getting those jobs, or that we're building the kind of stuff that fits our community's needs and isn't just cookie cutter. Like I said, this quadrant of town is wholly different from the west side of town, right? It's wholly different from the South Valley. And so let's be creative and let's think about what we could do for our communities. Again, I know I said I'd be short, but thank you so much. I love my neighborhood. I love this building. Thank you for being here, and thank you, Everett, for helping us tonight.
Ashe, thank you. And now a word from county staff.
Hello, I'm Marcos Gonzalez, Executive Development Officer for Bernalillo County. Thank you for attending this community dialogue. So why are we here today? The goal of economic development at Bernalillo County is to create an environment for businesses to thrive and improve the quality of life of all county residents. We have organized these community dialogues in response to a request from the Bernalillo County Commission. We want to hear what you think is important related to economic development. Your comments will be used to develop the Economic Development Department's future strategies and programming. They will also guide any amendments that may be necessary to add to our financing policies in order to deliver these community-informed strategies. We appreciate your time and being part of this conversation. We invite you to continue to engage throughout this process by accessing our materials and research on our website, attending other meetings, and completing our stakeholder survey. We look forward to sharing all of this information gathered in this process with our county commission as well as with you. Thank you.
He does always a nice job there. I always want to get him to come do it in person. But so for this evening, we are going to engage in really a conversation to start with, and then 2 dialogues. And we'll spend as much of 20, 30 minutes in each of those dialogues that we can. I'll walk you through the process here. And at the very end, we'll do some short table report outs just so people can hear what everyone else kind of talked about over the course of the evening. While you're in discussion, we're going to ask you all, be active in your conversation at your tables. Be active in the conversation. Speak and listen with respect, right? You may not agree with everything that's being said. Agreement isn't the big deal, right? The ability to have the conversation and be able to get through it in a way that makes sense to folks is really what this is about, right? You all are neighbors. Well, I came in from the South Valley, so I'm a little further down the road. But ask for clarification if you don't understand. If somebody says something at your table and you need clarification, just ask, right? I'm not sure what you meant. Can you say a little more about what you were trying to communicate? And if you need facilitation help, on each of your tables, there's a little toolbox. Inside the little toolbox, there's a red card that looks like this. If you need any support from me or from co-facilitator Antonio or our support help, this is Sierra, and I think I see Dominic here in the room. So we have some young folks, a rising senior at New York University, a rising senior at Penn State, and then some younger folks, definitely younger than I am, to help us with the dialogue to move around. They're already laughing like, yeah, you're ancient. We are gonna move into our first conversation. And again, in your your toolbox, there's a set of these half sheets. What we want you to do, and we're going to give you, there should be about 10 of you at each table. I see a couple tables is doubled up with a couple other folks. You have a manila envelope like this one. You don't need this yet. You do not need this yet, right? So you don't have to open that. In your toolbox, you should have these half sheets. We want you to do an introductory conversation so you get to know the folks at your table a little better. We're going to ask you to share your name, what part of the county you came in from, and then on your half sheets, we want you to each individually answer, what does economic development mean to you? And share that with folks at your table, okay? You don't have to write your name, and you don't have to write what part of the county if you're not comfortable with that. We just want to make sure you answer the question, what does economic development mean to you, okay? And we're going to give you about 10 minutes to jump into that discussion. I'll check in and see how you all are doing.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we are going to ask you to bring those conversations to a close, and I'm going to ask Dominic, Sierra, and Antonio if they would go around to pick up your half sheets. While they're picking up your half sheets, I am going to direct you now to the packet in the middle of your table. Our first dialogue this evening is going to be around quality of place. And so what we're going to ask you to have a discussion about at your table, question one, when you think about quality of place in your community, what does that look and feel like? What does quality of place look and feel like? We're going to give you 20 minutes or so to be in that discussion and also talk about the second question, how can local and state governments support the development of quality place through economic development strategies? So we want to give you some time to be in a discussion around these two questions. I will check in about 10, 12 minutes to see how you're doing. If you haven't transitioned to the second question by then, I'll gently prompt you to, right? And then I'll check in again before we transition to the next set of questions. We'll have folks come around and pick up your answers. All right, so if you would, please start your dialogue around quality of place now. We may need a little bit more of your time on the back end, 10 minutes or so, because we like to do table report outs, and we want to make sure everyone gets to talk a little bit about what their conversations were. So as you ask for a couple more minutes. I'm going to ask for a couple more minutes if that's okay. Right? All right, we're going to have some folks come around and pick up your answers to question 1. And while they're picking up your packets for question 1, they will be handing out your packets for question 2. Or, I'm sorry, dialogue 2. So before we start with dialogue 2, if you remember when we started, we had a quick table conversation about what economic development means to you. While you all were in dialogue around the first conversation, we actually had our young folks. He isn't as young as the other young folks, but we had them actually doing what's called a theming analysis on this purple wall over here. So that's called a sticky wall. We took all of your answers and group them into themes. And so Antonio is going to do a quick report out to let you all know what the themes were that came from your very first question. What does economic development mean to you?
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Hill. Yeah, so we've already done about 4, how many of these? 4 of these?
Yep.
Yeah, 4 of these. And we've seen some similar themes come up across these different meetings. 4 of those themes also came up tonight, right? So we see sustainability, access to resources, growth, and opportunity. Now I also want to say that even though these themes are present on this wall, central to these themes, we also found community, collaboration, economic and environmental justice was a woven theme through all of these. When we talk about sustainability, it's when we actually start seeing some of this growth or we start seeing some of this opportunity, how do we sustain that over the long run? Access to resources looks like access to resources into either creating a business, into economic development in some form or another. Growth is new opportunities, either new opportunities to engage or new opportunities for jobs that pay a living wage was another common theme. And then, of course, opportunity. These two kind of went hand in hand. As I'm doing this, I kind of feel like the economic meteorologist over here. But so these are some of the common themes here. And also just want to say, just because we have 4 categories doesn't mean that we're not going to capture what's said here. We're going to capture what's said in these half sheets and make sure that that data is reflective of what you guys wrote. But I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Hill.
Thank you, Antonio Stucker. So, so now we wanted to do that for 2 reasons. One, so that you got a chance to see what the theming process is like. So all the data that we captured this evening and throughout this whole process will go through a similar analytical process, right? To gather themes and to pull out information that can help the steering committee and the county staff who are working on these strategies for economic development for the county to help incorporate your voice into their work process. That's a big part of why we're doing these dialogues. We also wanted to do it just so you could get a sense of what you've been talking about so far this evening, right? And it's also a nice transition between you just being in a discussion and me asking you to be in another one. So I'm gonna ask you now to turn your attention to the topic of quality jobs. And in that discussion, we want you to be thinking about these 2 questions. When communities are thriving, what does a quality job look like? What does it look like? And what needs to be in place, both from the employer side and the community side, to make those quality jobs a reality, right? So again, we're going to give you the expanse of 20 minutes to be in a dialogue around these 2 questions. I'll check in again in 10 minutes or so and see how you're doing. And then again, we'll ask maybe for an extra 10 minutes on the back end, just so you all can do some report outs and hear what each other had been talking about. We'll ask you each table to do about a minute on your report outs, just to give us a high level kind of glimpse into what your conversations were about. I think it's really important for you all to get a chance to hear from each other. I'm looking this way, so we're going to start report outs with Eric Griego over here. There you go.
Our sense of place, I think, captured a broad range of issues. A lot of people here have experience with neighborhoods and communities and really emphasized how important that was. A lot commitment to public and green spaces. It was important to have workforce opportunities, including sort of not just education, but non-traditional ones like apprenticeships and opportunities to thrive in that regard.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. First table, let's ask this table.
And which question is that? Okay, so my name's Louis Sanchez, and what we talked about here is we've talked about what a good business is supposed to look like. And when we deal with the good business, we want to make sure that the business is thriving, is safe. The main thing was safety, public safety within the community. Public safety to make sure that each and every person feels safe within their community. Also, the economic growth. Small businesses need the most amount of care. After all, small businesses are the economic driver in our community. More small businesses in Albuquerque mean that there's more employees and more people working. And that's what we need in our area. Also, what does a quality job look like? A quality job with our table is also has to deal with safety. We wanted to make sure all of our folks here were saying that safety is our number one concern when we deal with everything within our city. And making that job, what it looks like is the participation, the accountability, the work ethic that's going on between the accountability between the owner and the manager and the employee to make sure that the company is moving forward. We also talked about making a good wage and moving success forward within the company so that everybody has success. And then what needs to be in place for employers in the community and to make those quality jobs a reality. And that, again, we were talking about making sure that we give back to the community and the community gives back to us, and making sure that we have everything that we need within the community, whether it's safe, making sure that we have what the community deserves, what our taxpayers pay for. So our taxes pay for, so that we can make sure that we can move in equal elements. So if the community is doing good, the government is doing good, then everybody rises. Thank you.
Excellent. Let's give this table a hand. Back to
They made me. Anita, and what we talked about was really a thriving wage. There are things like we talk about living wage, but we want a thriving wage where people can not only pay for their basic needs, but they can invest in themselves, their community, and their families. We talked about housing, where everyone has a housing at a level that they can afford to pay with the economy that is in our communities. Walkable neighborhoods where there are coffee shops, grocery stores, and small businesses within walking distance. And the more that people are out on the streets, the more that communities thrive. So we want fresh parks and places and playgrounds where people can be safe and can enjoy that. And where all people are recognized as valuable members in the community.
Excellent, thank you. Let's go to the back table and then we'll come this way.
So with my table, we talk about how inaccessible public transportation is on Central, and like how over the years it's been really affecting the business around here because the people that have lived longer here in this side of the city have noticed that like these businesses have been really ruined because of the transportation and the bus system, because it's like very difficult to get to these small businesses when like the main way is like the public transportation. And also like how political it is in this issue of public transportation, because why couldn't we focus on like other transportation to like make it more accessible to make it over the Rio Grande River? Because now it's really difficult to where there's only two systems where you can drive to get to like one place and another place. And that, so we noticed that like it's very hard to like, you know, if you don't have that public transportation, then like it's really hard for like people to wanting to go to these places and support these local businesses, that we need to like find ways to where we can make a public system where like we can involve the local communities here to have a voice, and like where we need these road structures to like people can get to where they need to. And then I'll pass it on to her.
I'm going to read from my paper. Okay. We discussed what an economic government looks like and how they should be helping locals, and that means starting with our schools and local businesses to help build a cohesive community. We also discussed that we would like jobs that people are interested in, utilize, and given a livable wage. In this discussion, we said that some businesses are having to lay off employees in order to be able to pay them a living wage. However, those people who are getting laid off are slowly increasing our homeless situation. So a good and healthy job grows, and we don't worry about having to lose our job.
Excellent, thank you. Move to this table right in the middle.
Hi everyone, it's going to be a high-level review of what we talked about, but we spoke about quality of place and making sure that people feel safe in their communities, and that decisions around quality of place are community-driven and based, and we want accessible resources. We want a lot of green spaces, so we talked about the built environment, having walkable places, having cafes, having beautiful places to go, having third spaces, having shade, and you know, greenery does a lot for your mental health, so that's important. We also talked about like a strong sense of like community identity and cultural and artistic identity and presence, and the pueblos as well, and the importance of seeing like the native community in the city as well, in the urban areas. And we talked about also seeing like the presence of like intergenerational you know, communities, as well as second chance opportunities to those that have, you know, a background that is not as valued by like society today, and like non-traditional education as well. And then we just mentioned that when businesses are successful, then that means that our entire communities are successful. And so we really want to prioritize helping these businesses be successful, making sure that the resources that are out there to help them succeed are available and are accessible. And also a part of that is making sure education is available to small business owners or anyone who is interested in starting a business and helping out their community. As well as just like education in like non-traditional trades, and as well as non-traditional careers like art. And let's see. Yeah, having a living wage and good benefits, making sure people feel a sense of fulfillment in their work and that they value the work. They work with a sense of dignity, because everyone deserves that no matter what their job is or what their wage is. And then making sure that we all are contributing to our community in a meaningful way. People have opportunities for growth and opportunities to feel healthy and have like emergency funds as well. And also mentorship is very important to the younger generation as well. Sorry.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, we'll go to this table and then we'll work our way to the back here.
Okay. So we talked a lot in spaces about a lot of what we've already heard about safety and green spaces. And one of the things that came to mind is that a place can be more than just what they do. And how do we look at it in that way? And as I heard our table talk, we kind of came up with like, relationships are important in spaces in our communities. And so we need engaging spaces, whether that be at work, whether that be for like public concerts, whatever it be, that we have those engaging spaces because that's where we build community. And building the community and those types of relationships actually make us safer. So I felt like this was a great group and we came full circle with a lot of what everybody else has already said, so I don't want to repeat. And then when we got to quality jobs, so we said good wages, livable wages. I love the table in the back who said thriving wages, because I think that's the right word for it. We talked about the importance of benefits with healthcare, retirement, so that people can retire with dignity. We talked about voice in the job place, representation, and I brought up union for anybody who knows me and what I do. But all of us agreed that education, access to education, access to workforce development, professional development, and advancement were all a very important part of a job, was that those things are offered in that space.
Excellent, thank you. Let's move to this table and we'll work our way back and then finish over there.
Hey everyone. Yeah, so this tape, I'm feeling weird about doing this because I just moved here about 4 months ago. So, but I do live here in the area. I live over in Nob Hill. I just moved into the Broadstone down the street. And there was an amazing amount of information just at this little table. I can't even imagine what these guys are going to be sifting through from this. Anyway, I mean, we went through so many different things that have already been called out. So, but I'll just go ahead and toss a few more in there. One of the things that came up was actually the ability to strike and have unions. That's something that not everybody might agree with, but that is definitely something that some people at the table think we could use. But that also gives people the ability to have some kind of respect in their workplace, right? That kind of is what it boils down to. As someone who's, I mentioned that there was there's a balance that needs to be brought back between owners, managers, and workers, right? So, and I think that respect is something that's kind of missing from a lot of different things, and I think that there was an agreement here that respect is kind of what's missing, and that includes taking care of our community, taking care of people who maybe we don't like, people maybe we don't agree with, but still they're part of our community, and giving people the space to be able to handle their lives and to help people when they need it. Infrastructure that everybody can use. I think that we can all agree that Albuquerque, as well as the United States, has fallen down a little bit on infrastructure. Here, one of my big things, and it sounds like it's for a lot of people, public transit is a big, big problem here. I love public transit. I love the art. I take it almost every day. A lot of people don't. We need to have something that works for everybody. That's the way you can actually get financial independence. If you have mobility throughout the city, there are people who are stuck. They don't drive for whatever reason, and they have to rely on the buses. I will tell you first, it is rough. It is rough to take a bus if you need to get someplace on time. And God forbid you have to move to another place that day. Anyway, I can go on and on, sorry about that. Right. Training incubators, we talked about co-ops as an example of business options that maybe we could start helping with. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, thank you. Let's move to the next table.
So, good evening, everyone. As I start, I first want to ask you all to just imagine Independence Hall, July 4th, 1776. We all remember this as a moment when our nation declared that every person is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thomas Jefferson went on to write that we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men were created equal. And these ideals echo in this hall tonight that every resident of District 3 deserves the same chance to thrive. My name is Karthik Anand, and I think I speak on behalf of all of us. First of all, I want to thank the county for this opportunity, taking our opinions into consideration regarding the long-term strategy for an inclusive economic growth. Investing in ecotourism, film production, sustainability, and industry sectors will bring about good-paying jobs and help strengthen our economy. But at the same time, we are looking at a far greater crisis. Our community right now is hurting with serious challenges that it's facing. Currently, 5,000 of our neighbors are homeless, of whom 55% are veterans. Many local businesses have closed, and sadly, our crime rates are higher than the national average right now in our county. And substance use and its related issues continue to affect public safety. For this strategy to succeed, these issues need to be addressed alongside job creation. This means in the long term, supporting access and maintaining stable housing, enhancing public safety, supporting businesses, both local and national store owners, expanding access to addiction and behavioral health services. By combining investment with community-focused solutions, we can create a strong foundation that will not only help businesses thrive, but families feel safe and pave a path to a brighter future for the future generations to succeed. Together, I see tonight that we, like the founding fathers of our nation, can unite and turn our vision into a vibrant and resilient reality for our children, their children, and for generations to come. And in closing, I ask everyone to remember, we are not here to survive history. We're here to make it tonight.
Thank you. That was a deep table discussion. Let's go to we have this table and then one final table over here on our right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Javier Rojo, and I had the privilege of being at a table with a lot of young people from the Semilla Project. And one of them actually volunteered to do the readout, and she is the youngest out of the table. So, Jocelyn?
Awesome.
Hi guys, my name is Jocelyn. I'm here with the Semilla Project, and what me and my group were talking about is a place where all community members can thrive irrespective of background. Healthy food is nearby, safety and comfortable opportunities for youth, public outdoor space, more after school activities, and I think the governor can help by listening to people and also move meaningful investments to help youth have a bilingual skill like me. And I hope they have better jobs, because my brother at the age 17 left to work at Texas because there was no good jobs here in Albuquerque. He left because he was helping my mom as a single mother to help her pay the bills in the house and the things my siblings needed. And I'm here with the Semilla Project that has created Next Gen to show us what good jobs are and to help our community.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And our final table.
Hey everybody, my name is Brian. I'm Jocelyn's older brother. Well, we talked here at my table that we believe a quality job is they offer a comfortable pay, a place where we can grow and improve. I personally left to Texas when I was 17 to look for a better job. And well, I'm here back. I luckily found the union. I didn't know. I hope that they can offer more advertisement, more to grow.
Thank you. And thank you for being here. All right. right, thank you all. Again, I will apologize. We're a little bit over time, but I really do appreciate you all staying to hear what each of you talked about. I'll just show you quickly all of this information that we've taken and all the information from all of the other dialogues you can access at BernCo.gov. On your tables, there's also a QR code that will take you to the same place. So you can see the information that came from other dialogues as well as this one. So with that, I invite Marcos to close us out.
Thank you, Everett. And thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to my excellent team. Could not do any of this without them. Carolyn Tobias, Sulema Lenz, and Brigitte Gallegos have been working all summer long to put these dialogues together with the steering committee that's driving all of your information into how we're going to be crafting policies and programming in the future. So now for the steering committee members in the room, now the work really begins. We need to take all this dialogue and push that into, that's you, Tim, into that information. And I would also not remiss if I didn't say thank you to the video production team who has been making this happen, to NDI staff, and to Everett and your team for facilitating these pieces. So thank you, and know that all of this information will be culminating in recommendations to the commission very soon. So we look forward to seeing that. So thank you tonight.